Hey YouTube, it's Jeff at Darkmoon Metals, and I want to welcome you to my finally completed welding booth. It should have been done about 6 months ago, but I've been relatively busy. So I was looking over some of my supplies and I saw that I was running really low on argon. And I don't like returning cylinders with gas still in them, and I have just enough for a small project or maybe a demonstration. So what I'm going to do in today's video is talk about TIG welding or TIG brazing copper. Alright YouTube, so I'm going to start out with two clean pieces of 3/8 round copper. These are scrap pieces that were left over from a project, so I figured I'd put these to use and use them in a demo. Now for the TIG welding process, what you usually use in welding is if you have a parent material, your welding rod is the same material. And all I'm going to be using is a straightened piece of copper wire. This is 14 gauge out of a piece of Romex. I just pulled the ground wire out. Now it does have an interesting color to it. It may be a varnish. So I'm going to take a Scotch-Brite pad and clean that up before I TIG weld with it. Now for the brazing, I'm going to flip this over on the other side. And I've got an 1/8 inch silicon bronze low fuming rod that I removed the flux off of, and I polished with a Scotch-Brite wheel. I don't want any flux for this. The copper flows, it flows weird. It's kind of hard to describe unless you've done a lot of TIG welding. When you're TIG welding copper, it flows like it's almost stainless steel. It really wants to move well. The puddle's very forgiving. But when you move over to TIG brazing, where you're just trying to heat the parent metal and flow the bronze into it, it almost moves like it's aluminum. It's really weird trying to get used to, but if you practice enough, you can actually get good at it. I needed to learn this for a project that I was doing for a client, so I know it's possible. I have done it before, but I am way out of practice. And I'm pretty much just doing this video so you can see what's going on. I don't know how good the arc shots are going to be, but I'm going to try anyway. The one thing with copper, unlike steel or aluminum, this is one of the best heat sinks around. So when you start doing any type of welding brazing to this, it is going to heat up cherry red. Don't worry, it's not going to melt. But you are going to need to see this cherry red before you can put in your filler material. Today I'm going to be using an air-cooled Weldcraft torch. It's nothing special. It's an MP17. Regular red tungsten. Don't know how well you can see the tip, but it's got a fairly narrow point on it. And I did touch just a little bit on top to take the edge off. I want a little bit of a flat, not much. I'm also going to be using my Miller Synchrowave 200 power supply. I'm going to be running it at 200 amps DC electrode negative. And straight argon. I'm not using any exotic gases at all. I'm just using straight argon, same thing I would use if I was welding aluminum. Okay YouTube, here goes nothing. I've got my two vice jaws on the table so the rounds don't roll around and it'll hold them for me. I haven't done this in about 8 months. And even when I did do it, I wasn't very proficient at it, so here goes nothing. You're going to see the end results either way. I hope it's not too embarrassing. Alright YouTube, I did clean the other side of the copper, opposite the weld I just did, because it did turn black. And again, I want it as clean as possible. Now I'm going to try the TIG braze using the silicon bronze rod. Okay, drum roll, here are the results. This is the TIG braze. The TIG braze is absolutely nasty. It started out halfway decent, and then as the two metals got to a good temperature, it started to flow nice, and then the copper just melted. And at the end you can see where it goes from a bronze color to a copper color, and if you look at the side profile, you can't even really see where there's any bronze left in the weld. The copper is just completely mixing with the bronze. And that's not good for a braze. But yes, you can do it. It takes a lot of patience. When I first did this, I did it with helium. It came out a lot better. In fact, I'll show you an example of the helium in a second. But this I am really happy with. This is the Tig Weld with the copper Romex wire, 14 gauge Romex wire, and you can see that that has a decent level of penetration too. And let me show you the first ones that I ever did. I saved my sample piece here. I had been practicing brazing because that's what the person originally wanted with the job. We were making sconces for copper lanterns, and she wanted them brazed. So I dropped off a couple samples. I said, this is what the brazing looks like. I think it'd be a lot better looking with copper, and that's ultimately what we ended up using. But this is one of the samples that I had made. And as you can see, even then, with the helium as a shielding gas, I was still getting a lot of bleed through, and I was getting the bronze flowing in places I really didn't want it to go. And this, on the other side, is the first copper weld that I had ever done with just using regular Romex wire and the Tig set at 200 amps. Now the neat thing about this, to give you an idea of how easy copper dissipates heat, one of these, I don't know if you can see it, one of these is hollow. Being that it was for an electric lantern, you had the main support piece, which was the solid copper, and you had, this is 3/8 round, but it has an 1/8 inch thick wall. Excuse me, not eighth, it's a 16th inch wall, so they could sneak the electrical wires through. Now, the problem was welding this, getting good penetration structurally, and not obstructing the opening for the wire. So it was pretty challenging, but I was able to get it done. And copper is very forgiving if you're welding it with a copper rod. It looks like it's going to melt into a giant glob of molten copper on your table, but it's really deceiving. This turns bright red. You can see the glow through your helmet and everything, but it really does hold its shape even under those, even under extreme heat. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And I'm sure if I practiced more with the Tig brazing, I could probably do a much better job with that in the future too. I need to do a lot more research on that, and then once I get some more scrap copper, I'll practice a little bit more. Alright YouTube, now obviously this isn't the best example of TIG welding copper that's on YouTube, but I just wanted to throw it out there for people who might not have seen it on another channel, just to show you that it is possible. And if you're interested in this subject, you can do a search and you'll find quite a few good videos done by, well, let's say professional welders, welders who make a heck of a lot more money than I do. And they have a lot of great information. They'll talk about the differences between argon and helium and all that good stuff. I wanted to thank you guys for dropping by and watching another one of my videos. It does mean a lot to us. Dana's going to be back in the shop soon. Her father is home. He is out of the hospital, which is a really good thing. He's in better spirits. That's where she's been for the past couple of months. And I've been doing a lot of solo work in the shop, but she is still very actively involved in the business. But the one nice thing about owning your own business is you can actually have your priorities straight. And family comes first. For me, it always has, it always will, and for her, it's the same way. So she should be back, and I want to get her back in front of the camera again. But in the meantime, I want to thank you guys for all your comments, all your likes, all your support, all of your views, and I'll keep the videos coming. So until the next one, this has been Jeff at Darkmoon Metals, and I'll see you again soon.